All right, so Annenberg donor circle for Eisenhower here. So deceptively simple, but creating these boxes with slots in them posed quite a bit of challenges. So we got quite a few moving parts, but once the parts are all put together, it shouldn't be that bad. We just got to make sure we follow the instructions and do things in order. So we'll go over that. So you got your parts. I broke it out to the outer shell of the 4-inch box, the outer shell of the 8-inch box, and then we have the inner cores of each. So we have the 8-inch box inner core parts and the inner core of the 4-inch box. You have 1/8-inch aluminum mounting bars, fairly straightforward. Put those together, and that's the top one. So you got the top and the bottom, 4-inch and 8-inch bar. You got the top letters here. Clamp the letters up to the bend scribe mark and bend the flange up. So just follow those instructions. We've got 3/4 inch acrylic with 632 studs, and same thing. We got 3/8 acrylic with 632 studs, and Jim called out 3/4 inch green acrylic for that, green edge acrylic. 2 mounting patterns for install, separate ones. So those are just the bars basically with instructions. So here we go. From the very top level of this, I went ahead and broke this apart because naming this bottom box and top box, well, talk about namespace pollution. Anything named top would be confusing whether this is the top box or is it the top of the top box. So for naming principles, look for an 8 or a 4 on all the parts. That will let you know which family this belongs to. So anything with a 4 belongs to the 4x8 box. Anything with an 8 belongs to the 8x8 box. So basically top box and bottom box. That being said, this is going to be confusing trying to show all this. So I went ahead and broke this out into another page. So we'll go over here. That's the 4-inch. We'll do this like weightlifting. We'll do the heavy stuff first, and then the other stuff will seem light. So like I said, it's not that hard. It's just got to make sure everything's put together in a certain order. So I kind of made this to show how the parts are labeled, and essentially you're just going to start from the inner core right here with the smallest pieces, and then work your way out and assemble, and then like it says over in the other thing, like this is the outer shell, you'll just wrap it in the hard candy shell. So you'll start in the middle, do the core, and then work your way out. And I have it exploded here. So this is what we'll do. So you'll see that all this stuff is labeled. The other part of the labeling name structure is I have, instead of left and right or whatever, I've got 1, 2, and 3. So 3 is always on the right side as you're looking at it, and 2 is in the middle. So if there's 3 pieces, the number 2 will be in the middle. The number 1 will always be on the left side as you're looking at it on the wall. So one side over here, you got the 2 in the middle, and then you got the 3 side over here. So all the 3s should line up on this side for all the parts, and all the 1s should be on this side. And anything 2 obviously is in the middle. And then just look for stuff that's supposed to face to the front. We'll say front. Anything with an arrow face is important that it is facing to the front, because like I say, this is asymmetrical. These mounting holes are important that they're going to this side. So again, just pay attention. It's not a hard thing to put together, but just got to make sure everything goes together the way it's supposed to. So we'll start in the middle here. So I'm calling this the C for center. It's this piece right here. You start with that, and then you'll have your LED tray. You'll put that onto that piece, that's second here. So backing up a little bit, what you're going to do is just get all these pieces, and you're going to Lord's rivet these together all as one piece first. So get all these bent, get them clean, get them bent, and then you can go ahead and put these pieces together so they're all long extrusions. This, same thing here. You're going to take these pieces here, you're going to Lord's rivet these together. So get all of these assembled as bad boys all together, and just be careful when you're dealing with them, because they won't have the full Lords that we do on the sides as well. So they can bend, so just make sure you're treating them with respect until they get all put together. the lamination effect of all the staggered seams, these things are going to be super strong once we have them together. But like these guys here, you'll have this plate, just go ahead and lords and rivet that together. But when you go to lift this thing, make sure you have support and it doesn't bend or fall apart or anything like that until you get everything lords together. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So once everything's all in long units, go ahead and take the LED tray and put it together first. And then you can go ahead and lords and rivet this stuff so it's faster. So you can do lords, do a couple clicos, and then just rivet it together and you can move on, kind of thing. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and put the what I call the M for middle. That's this middle angle piece. It's in green here with an M. So you have the C and the LED. You've put those together, and now you're going to bring the M together, and you're going to go ahead and lords and rivet that together, and now you'll have this inner structure here. Then what you're going to do is you can either choose to do the back or the front, but I would probably just do the front. Might be easier to handle. Then go ahead and take these guys, and you're going to go ahead and lords these once they're bent, lords them to the back of the front here. So this is facing front. And so go ahead and lords those and rivet those. You can go ahead and take care of that. Then bring this whole thing together to the front. So you'll put lords here. Zoom in there. So you can put lords here, and then lords there, and then bring this together, and you're good to go. Now you can see where this is, all that's left is to put the back piece on. So you'll just lords this real good and lords this, and that's the big top part here. So once you have this guy to this guy, and you have these all together, and you've made this core, and then you've assembled these little nuggets to this, and then you've brought all this together, then go ahead and take this whole structure and attach the back to it. And there you go. So now you'll have this center core. What this gives you is a place for the panels to slot in. That's where that goes. Back here you'll have lights like they had, so you'll be able to put your LEDs facing down. And then this also creates support right in here for the slot that you'll see for the outer shell. When you go to put that on, there won't be any structure right there because you'll have toaster slotted the whole thing. So you'll have to have this little set. So that's what that little shell's for. So the next step is once you have this core made, then you'll go ahead and do this top piece, and I have that labeled top. So that's just a little top tray that kind of faces up, and it attaches here. So what you're going to do is kind of lords and slide it in. So you're going to lords here, and you're going to lords all through here, and then bring this down and in. Now you can rivet here, but you do not rivet here because the mounting structure goes right here. The mounting bar fits right in here. So if you have rivets here, it's going to interfere with that. So this is a rivet no-fly zone. You can see here where I have the circles. So these are 165s just for clicos, but do not rivet here. But the blue here, you could rivet all inside where it's blue, because rivet, these aren't going to interfere with anything. But on the flat parts where you're going to be putting the outer shell, do not put any rivets because you got to keep that clean. Anyway, so there's that. So now you're going to bring that home, and now you have basically the whole inner cores done. So you have the top part here, and there's no center brace here. You can go ahead and just put one piece on at a time because this whole thing will hold it together. So once this whole core is made, then these just get lords on separately. There is no center brace thing right there. So once you have the core all done, then it's a matter of putting the candy shell. So for this guy, what you're going to do is take this piece, and it will fit on the inside here, and then you'll take this piece and lords it. Don't rivet, but you can put it right here, and that'll kind of hold it together because you'll bring these two pieces together, and then you'll have your there you go. We'll group him. Getting ahead of ourselves here. So you'll have these are the two pieces of 1x1 on the cut list over here. So we have our cut list. So you'll have two pieces of 1x1, 172 inches. Got it. They have to be. You can't seam them. This has to have structure. So make sure we have the 20 footers in stock. And what you're going to do is, now that you have this core built, you just let it chill and kick back. And then what you're going to do is you're going to bring these two pieces in, and you're going to line them up right with this reference kiss outside, but essentially they go right up to the edge of this opening, and you're just going to line them up with the edge of the toaster slots, and you're just going to lords them down real good, and that is going to give structure to this piece. So that's your seam. So you'll have this little seam piece here, and you'll have this other little seam piece here, and you'll have these bars lords continuously, and that's going to give it structure. At that point, once you have this made as one unit, that's the top part, and so you'll see here, you'll have these lords and you'll have those lords. Then go ahead and introduce that, and you're going to lords. Now this isn't ideal, but you're going to lords here real good, and these flat surfaces, obviously, you're going to lords the crap out of these. But then you're going to go ahead and inject on here and fill up this corner all the way along, and then that will help sort of smush it in here. Now that's not ideal, but at least, you know, try to get some lords in here so this back piece will sort of, you know, get all squished in there good. So then you'll see that this is how these two bars are going to give structure once we open up this toaster slot all the way. Then this whole thing would not have structure before, you know, if it was just by itself. But having these two bars will give it structure, and it closes up the light, so that way there's no light leaks. So this creates a trough tray that we'll be able to put the LEDs in. And anyway, so once you have that part done, then what you do is going to put the two end pieces in. So now you can attach the end piece to it, and you can go ahead and put your corner jigs on both sides. On front and back, you'll have the corner jigs. Just like here. So now you can go ahead and put your sides on and put your corner jigs in, and you'll be able to just tack it from the outside like we do. Just tack around the outside, and then on the back, tack it around the back outside, and then grind off the front. You can leave the back, kind of grind it off, but the back is just, that's it. There's no skin on the back. You will be skinning the front, so that'll give it strength, so you don't have to get too crazy. So anyway, once you get the top part lordsed on, then go ahead and put your sides on, get those tacked, and then these will be ready to receive the bottom. So then you take it and flip this bad boy over. So once you have all this done and you have your sides on, then you'll put the bottom hard candy shell on. So you'll then take your lords and lords it up real good. Lords up this little unit right here, because that's going to support that little wobbly piece. I mean, this is only like less than a ½ inch right here, or around a ½ inch strip that has to be supported. So you'll want to make sure you get lords on this real well, and lords this, and lords all this really well. And then you just introduce the bottom section to it and lords it on real good. So that'll give you your whole piece, and then you'll be able to tack at that point. You can tack the sides, you know, here to the backer and all that, so you'll be good to go. There isn't any internal bars or anything like that, but you'll see where the cleco holes are, where that little strip just lines up right there, and it lines up with the toaster slot for the panels. So just make sure that that kind of looks all okay. I would definitely test fit all this. Do not just pop lords and go. Oh yeah, we do have a little brace here, so you'll put that brace together. But just be careful when you're bringing this together. You might actually do the bottom piece in 2 pieces. This is just to kind of hold this together, but since you'll be lifting this and there's nothing holding it together, like the top piece has the 2 1x1s, right? So you can do this as one piece and bring it over. This you might do section at a time. So you might just put lords the left side on and tack it, and then make sure you bring the other side in and just make sure this lines up nice. This could help you, but looks like now that I'm seeing this, it might be advantageous to do the bottom in 2 pieces. So anyway, you'll have this flipped over on your table, and just work from the bottom. Oops. You'll just work from the bottom up, and then, like I say, just put the pieces on, get it all lords. At which point you are ready to then just put the little decorative bar on. So once that's all done, then take the decorative bar, and you're just going to lords it right to the bottom here. So that will create that bar that they have on the original wooden boxes. This will create that decorative bar. Because that only comes in 12-foot sections, it does have to be seamed, but it'll be seamed right in the middle. So just make sure your seam is sexy. Try to make it as clean as possible because you will be freehand lordsing this. Now I have the bar lined up to the panel slots, so as you can see here. So this is a 16th off from here. This is the LED slot, right? Now you can choose when you freehand this to either eyeball the center. Now you can kind of just center it if you choose, or use the panel slot as your alignment tool. Like just make sure that it's all lined up. Now since you'll be freehand lordsing this, make sure that it doesn't slide around. Make sure you either clamp it or do weights or something on it. But pieces have been known to slide when you turn your back on them. Sometimes just by, you know, whatever you call it here, lack of resistance. I've had that happen where you think it's all in place and you turn around, you come back 5 minutes later and this is slid a little bit just because of viscosity. So just make sure that these stay where they're supposed to be, but you'll just be freehand lordsing those. The bars, they line up to the ends of the toaster slot. So you'll have one there and you'll have another one there. Essentially, once you get that lords on, and then it's all that's left is put the face on, and you'll just lords the faces on the box, the top box there, and that box will be finished at that point. So again, it's not a whole lot of work. It's just making sure everything goes together, make sure everything's straight. But you've got your things. You've got a stud pattern there for the little letters. So make sure the proper, you know, again, this is a side 1 and this is side 3. So make sure that they are on the right sides. Everything's facing up. But essentially that will take care of that top box. These will go on after, you know, you'll stud and you'll bend these up, but that's after paint. Those go out separately. So there really isn't anything left for the top box once you do that. So while we're concentrating on the boxes, let's look at the number 4. So the 4-inch box, like I said, is the same thing, but it's a heck of a lot less stuff. So you'll have the same naming structure here where it's, let's see. So yeah, you'll have your middle box pieces here. I just have those as M, and I have those as M bottom and M top. So 4 is the number, M is the middle piece, top is the top. It's important that on the top one here, that this faces out, slots go towards the wall. This is for mounting. So you want to make sure that these holes and all that is facing towards the back. Again, you're going to put these together first as units. Same thing here, put all these together as units, get them all ready. You'll have a front and you have a back. So your back has slots for mounting. So all that kind of goes to the back. So simple enough. 4 middle top, you'll just lords that to the front face pieces, do those 2. You can do lords and rivet on that for quickness, just lords rivet, and then just bring this guy up here and you're done. Lords and rivet, boom, boom, done. And then same thing. Now on this one, in order to give it strength, we are going to lords a solid 1/2-inch bar on the inside, similar to what you did, except you did 2 1x1s because it's beefy and big. So you're just gonna do 2 1/2-inch bars, but one is going to be to the outside later. So that's going up here. So let's see where we at. Yeah, here we go. So once we're done there, then take this top piece. You aren't going to put this together. Again, this will be way too wobbly to try to do all in one piece. So you're just going to do one piece at a time, but you are going to lords on the inside. You'll see where the bend scribe is here. You'll take your 1/2-inch bar and you'll lords it right in there, boom, and it goes a little long, you'll see there, and it'll be flush. This part here will be flush there, and then that way you can see where, you know, all that will mate up together. Now you want to make sure that this bar doesn't extend out at all, because then you're not going to be able to get these together. So you want to make sure that if anything, you're in a little bit, but just make it flush, make it nice. And again, I'm lining that up with the panel toaster slots. So line that up with the panel toaster slot edge. So again, you'll put that there, and that looks like this. So you'll lords that on, and then once that's on, then you'll just introduce this here. Right, and so when it's time to lords this guy on, you want to make sure that you get the Lords both on the 090 section here, where this is obviously going to mate up right here, but you want to make sure you get Lords really good on the bottom of this bar, because this is going to hold in place once you compromise this structure and cut all this out. Then you want to make sure that you've got that Lords right there to hold this little unit in place. So that's important there. Now you'll have a little brace that you'll Lords in later. So once this is all together and you have both pieces, so again, like the bottom one of the other one, go ahead and do these in 2 separate pieces, right? But then you will have this little nugget here that you can Lords in later to give this support, because this will be unsupported back here. So once that's done, then introduce this unit and Lords that in, and that'll help strengthen that seam. But don't do that first, do that after. So once you have that all done, don't put this on yet, because you'll want to flip this over and put the other side on. So once this part's done, flip it over onto your table, Lords this up real good here, and then just bring that home, and then you're done. So that's all Lordsed up. Then once you have it all done, then do the same thing. You're just going to Lords this little bar onto the top. Again, you can choose to use the panel to just line it up, that's fine. And then that right there gives you your slots. So this will be your panel slot, and then this bar divides this, and this will be the light slot. And so we'll put LEDs in here. And then this whole area back here is for your mounting. Now we'll get to the mounting here now that we're done with all this. So once you get these 1/8 inch bars, this is going to slide on like this, and it's going to slide all the way in. And then strategically, these screws will hide inside the LED slot, and we'll be able to screw this on to the mounting bar. And that's why you have to make sure that these slots all line up and they're facing the right way, because the mounting bar is going to slot right into these bad boys, as you can see here. So you just want to make sure all that lines up nice. Then you'll Lords on your faces, and you'll be good to go. Oh yeah, I forgot. So it's just like the other one. You're going to go ahead and put the top on, and then do your sides and your little side braces. You know, do all that, and then seal it up with the bottom, just like the other one. So then this guy here, you want to clamp these flanges, but you don't have any other flange all the way. It's just all you're doing is bending this. So when you go to bend this, support this. You know, do a buddy system, because it's important that this flange bends square. It could twist or something, not having a flange all the way. But the back of this needs to be open for that mounting bar. As you can see, there's no flange. There's a flange on the top, but there's no flange on the bottom. Just on the ends there. That allows you to mount the side pieces. So be safe with that. Be safe with that, because you're only clamping this one piece. So you might have to have a buddy to help you lift that. But otherwise, I think all of that makes sense. If you have any questions, give me a call on all this stuff for sure. So mounting bars, pretty straightforward. You're just going to bend them up, and then you're going to slide in let's see, where are they? There you go. So the bottom one's here. So we've got dog bones. We're using dog bones in 1/8 this time, so we're trying that out. So the bottom one here, just slide these in, tack them in, and you'll have that channel shape like you see there. It'll be like that. Once those get bent up, then you can go ahead and Lords in this brace here as well. I did 0.193 holes for that, so it's a little easier to route. So, but keep an eye out for all these little pieces. So do the bottom bar, same thing with the top bar. You're going to, same thing, bend it up, slide in the pieces, just a little bit bigger is all, but it's just a little bigger tray. Looks like that. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do an LED tray for the top, so that way the RGB will sit kind of closer up. This guy here, I think we can just stick LEDs right to this tray all the way along, and that'll be the light coming out here. The bottom one, not quite sure yet, because the screws will be in the way, but there's also not a lot of room for a tray. So we might just put the LEDs on a strip of metal, and then they could strategically just double stick tape the tray down and kind of 4x4 over the screw heads, and just sort of make that work. So we'll have to see about that once we get to it. We'll jump off that bridge when we get to it. So all right, so we discussed that, discussed this, panels, wiring. So this will be more for install. We discussed with Jonathan on install. They're going to bring, so that we're going to be using the existing wood base. They're going to bring 120 through the wall and bring it up inside the wall, and then they're going to poke up somewhere in here, inside next to the mounting bar, inside the box. So that is what this is for. So I provisioned this little area. If you could think 3D here, we have this little area where all of this stops, the LED stop and everything. And we'll have these little doors. So you're just going to lords these to the bottom here. You can choose to do that later or whatever, but you'll just take these pieces, lords them to the inside, and then that gives us a mounting point for our door. So we'll have two little hatches. The power is already on the number 3 side. It's over here on the right side on the number 3 if you're looking at it. So they've already run wire and stuff there. So we're guessing that we're going to keep it over here, but theoretically I made openings on both sides just in case. So we're doing the max bright 12 volt. So I'm thinking we're just going to use keystone, little small guys that'll fit in there, and we're going to have to just sort of go on the fly to see how we're going to wire it up and what it's going to look like. It's probably not going to be pretty, so we'll have to figure that out. But essentially this pocket here, I notched the framing, so as you're looking at it from the front is where this box lives. So you have all this room here, and you'll have all this in here. So there's plenty of room to put the RGB controllers. That's almost 5 inches tall and almost 10 inches wide. So we could stack some keystones in there, or we could do a Sloan 120 watt 12 volt or something like that. We'll figure something out. But anyway, I think we'll have 2 controllers in there as well, so it'll all be packed in. But that's where the power is going to live. Disconnect switch, we'll have to figure out how we provision that. Obviously we can't have it sticking out on this thing. It's not going to look pretty. So we'll discuss that as well once we get to that point. So, but this is enough for you to start building on the boxes. So again, it's just important to work in order. So just follow those orders. Working from the core out. So put the core together, and then put the core to this part, and then put that part to that part, and then encase it from the top down in its hard candy shell. Oh, one other thing. Once everything is done, you'll probably want to do this. Yeah, so before you lords on the final decorative bar, you're going to want to cut open on both the number 8 box and the number 4 box. You'll see where these are temporary holders right here to keep these slots, some structure while it's routing. So you'll go through, and I went ahead and weakened them with a bend scribe, so you won't be cutting the full 09. But cut these little tabs out that you see on the back LED side. So it needs to be a continuous chopped out chunk. So once everything's lords together, but before you put the decorative bars on both the 8 and the 4, either duck saw them out or take your cutting wheel, but be very careful and make it look nice. Just kind of run up against the edge and chop these little guys out. These are only 3/8 of an inch, so they're pretty small, but they'll be enough to give structure to hold it all together until you get all this put to the core, and then go ahead and slice those out. Same thing on the number 4. That's only on the top piece, but you'll have the same thing right here. So again, put the top on, put the bottom, and then before you put your decorative piece, slice those out, and you'll be good to go. I think that should be it. But yeah, there's a lot going on, so I kind of rambled all over the place. But if you see something, or if you have any questions, definitely ask. Otherwise, I think that's it. So if you have any questions, hit me up.